Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Cassandra Ulrich, and I am bringing to you today how to add depth to your writing using literary devices. Um, this Putting this slide deck together took me back to the days when I was sitting in English class learning about, different parts of speech, grammar, all that stuff, including literary devices. So it was really interesting and neat to go through. So the Go next slide here. So how to add depth to your writing. Um, we have a very big word, and I don't think we even went over this in English class, anthropomorphism. It's the kind of literary device that is used in fairy tales and fables, when they have animals, but they're walking around on two legs, or you have plants and they're interacting and moving around as if they're humanoids. That's when anthropomorphism comes into play. It's human attributes human characteristics to non-human entities. An example could be the cat frowned at the humor dog. So frowned is a human attribute, not an attribute, that animals would have. They might snarl or they might growl. But when you use words like frowned or humored, those are human characteristics that I'm applying to animals. So that's an example that I came up with there. But there's so many examples, especially if you read fantasy or fairy tale type books, back in the day, Cat in Boots, stories like that, you would see that kind of um, literary device used a lot. Next up, we have what started all of this, personification. And basically, this is used in poetry and literature to add emotional depth. It attributes human characteristics to abstract ideas, natural phenomena, or inanimate objects in a figurative manner. I have an example here: the temperamental, faulty engine strained against the cruel, harsh wind. The descriptions are meant to be metaphorical. So the words temperamental, strained, cruel, those are adjectives that are usually just used for human, attributes or human interaction uh, or action. And here, I'm applying it to an engine and wind, both, inanimate machines, weather, but I just added like that human dimension to them so that we as the readers can get an idea of what this engine is up against. I mean, normally an engine, has no feelings, but doing this, I just gave this engine feelings, emotions. And you could connect to this normally inanimate. You start feeling sorry for the engine. That's how it pulls you into um, the story and helps you to interact and relate to the character, even if the character in normal life wouldn't normally have feelings. Okay. Next, we have metaphor. And a lot of people know what this is. They use it. It helps to paint a picture really fast. Sometimes it's used to infuse uncertainty. Depends on how you're using it. But it's basically a figure of speech that directly compares one thing to another for rhetorical effect, and an effective use of words. And an example of this is the bare branches were elongated fingers reaching for the heavens. Gave them a comparison, um, but in a way where the description helps you to see, back to, where we say, see, don't tell. It helps you to see what's going on with the branches. They're not just sticks just out. You almost get the feeling that they're moving. They're moving towards the sky. Example 2, the child barked disgust at a bully. And this is an implied metaphor because you're using the word barked, which normally you would use for an animal, dog, um, but here you're using it from a child's point of view, so you're relating the child to having an animal like characteristic. And the last one I wanted to bring up was simile, which is a type of metaphor. But you would use the word like or as within the sentence. So the woman danced around like a cloud in a stormy sky. Um, you get a certain visual from that, how she's dancing. And example two, the warrior lunged as if he were a lion. So those are a couple ways that you would have a simile. So again, it's comparing two objects or relating two things, but it's using like or as in the sentence. And that's how you know it's a simile, um, not just a general metaphor, it's actually a simile. So that was it. I have some links that I put into the presentation, and I'm gonna see if I might have to bring it over on this screen. Um, oh, good. We're all on the same screen. So this one, it was a good read. I pretty much summarized, what was said on the two links that I'm going to show you. Um, but it did give, some additional examples. It explained, gave you some examples of anthropomorphism, personification, um, and told you what the difference between the two are. Again, anthropomorphism is basically, the characters are the animals or the inanimate objects, whereas personification is you're bringing to life through human descriptions, bringing to life inanimate objects. And they gave some examples of books: Animal Farm, Winnie the Pooh, Beauty and the Beast. That's examples of anthropomorphism. And then personification, Greek mythology, Haunting of Hill House, and then E.E. Cummings poetry. And then the other link, get back to slides, talks about a metaphor. And this goes through, again, a little bit more detail and examples. Shakespeare, his all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. And so all the world's a stage is the metaphor that he's using in his writing. So they have four types of metaphors. I didn't go into all of this, but it has, the standard one, which is what Shakespeare used. There's the implied one. I talked about, the barking, but there's also visual metaphors, extended metaphors. So I wanted to at least give you a link. You can go here and get more detailed. They talked about metaphors that are overused. They call dead metaphors. So when you publish your work, you don't want to use a whole lot of kicking the bucket, melting pot, and body of work, because that has been so overused. It dulls the mind when the reader has it there. And a lot of times people refer to that as like cliche. Oh, don't use that. It's a cliche.
Mm-hmm.
So in your writing, you want to stay away from things that are too popular descriptions. Unless, of course, I did read a book where the main character of the book was a living cliche. Like the character just thought in cliches. And so there were a lot, but it was on purpose. It wasn't an accident. That's just how the character thought with every interaction, brought up all these cliches. So it was actually funny. It was a humorous read because you knew it was done on purpose in this story. It wasn't just, oh, they're trying to describe something and just using something that has always been done. Um, and then they went into how do you write a good metaphor. It has to be image driven. Again, we're back to seeing and not telling, not overly complex and original, so that they don't want to use what has always been used, come up with something new to describe and relate. And then they have examples of metaphors in literature: Lord of the Flies, Romeo and Juliet, Emily Dickinson's Hope. And they talk about the difference between the two. And again, simile uses like or as, um, is often more obvious than regular metaphor, but that's it. So I'm definitely willing to share these two links to you so that you have them. I'm gonna copy and paste in the chat so that you have it. And if I can find the chat, let's see. That's the first one, and then I will copy the second one as well. So are there any questions?
I think you did a very good job in explaining and teaching that. Two words I've never heard before, and one I cannot even begin to say. So I'm going to break it down and learn how to pronounce it. It's a very good word. It says a lot in that one word, but that was very good. Very good.
Yep. The anthropomorphism, that one.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to say that
Yeah.
slowly just so I could get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we never went through. I don't remember that from English class at all.
No, I've never heard of it. No,
No, I learned something. I learned something
absolutely.
doing this class.
So did I. Yes. Would this be in the in the website?
Yeah, I made up a PDF for it, and I will send it to Patricia so that she can put it up on the website.
That would be good.